these are 5 subjects that we'll be discussing today. Trump visiting China. I want to get your take on it. The conflict in Iran, the upcoming conflict in Cuba, the alleged sponsored mass shooting in San Diego. And we're going to get into med beds, what's real, what's not, what's fake, what's woo-woo, what's voodoo, and all that shit. And we're going to get really, really deep on the subject, just so we could separate facts from fiction and nonsense, right? There's a lot of nonsense going on out there. So there's a lot of podcasters out there right now, Juanito, talking a lot of shit about Donald Trump coming home with nothing from this China trip. I thought personally he did a fabulous job. What is your take on it? The conflict in Iran seems to be hitting a non-negotiable proposal. The United States says, nope, enough is enough. We're not going there. We're not taking that offer. They keep putting these offers on the table that are like less than what's expected. And we see that maybe Cuba will follow immediately after the Iran conflict is over. You think that Cuba may end up becoming a 51st state? Marco Rubio is actually growing on me, I got to be honest with you, but I don't trust politicians just because of the last track record of 100 years of bullshit. And even though he's saying all the right things and I'm getting warm, fuzzy feelings when he's talking, he's saying different things, and he's grown on me. He's been growing on a lot of podcasters out there. But as a test, I think we should make, because he legally could be the president. Let him run a fair campaign. He could be the president of Cuba to prove himself, make Cuba great for the first time, and then we'll maybe think about making you the president of the United States. Let's talk a little bit about arrests, Juanito, because it seems that we're talking about arrests. Things are heating up. It looks like maybe we're going to get some arrests, and then things cool off again. Then things heat up again, and then things cool off again. Now we're in a cooling off period again. Nobody's talking arrest all of a sudden anymore.
Let's see where it goes. I don't want to comment on something that I don't have direct knowledge on. And
a structure so deeply embedded, most of those inside it don't even realize what they are a part of. Institutions you trusted operating within a framework you were never meant to question. And while you worked, struggled to survive, something bigger was moving behind the curtain. In this documentary, we exposed the largest financial deception in the history of mankind. Not with options, but with evidence. Irrefutable, irrevocable, undeniable. This is not about politics. This is about power. This is about control. And most importantly, this is about you. Because the moment you truly see it, the illusion collapses. The distractions lose its grip. The noise disappears. And the question becomes unavoidable. When this film is released, the truth will no longer be hidden. It will be undeniable, uncontainable, unstoppable. My job is to expose it. Your job is to make sure the world sees it. Now, will you have the courage to face it, to share it, to break free from the system that was designed to keep you enslaved forever? Or will you ignore the greatest revolution of our time? The truth is here. You will either stand up and help us dismantle the Matrix, or the Matrix will enslave you and your family for 1,000 years to come. The choice is yours. God knows I did my job.
Well, guys, we got Juanito up on deck, but before we get started today, I got a very, very special announcement to make. This just came. It's hot off the press. I think it's brilliant. I think we're going to use it for Louis Herms's campaign. I don't know who came up with this, but the Democrats just keep doubling down on their stupidity. And I don't know what to say except, hey, let's take advantage of their stupidity and use their stupidity against them. And I don't think there's a video out there that depicts what I'm about to show the audience better than this. So let's get to it. Let's see here. Tell me if you could see and hear my screen when I do this, but I think you should. And here we go. Can you hear it? Can you see it? I think you could see it, right?
The Democrats really screwed themselves on voter ID, huh? So let me get this straight. Democrats were against voter ID. They don't want the SAVE Act. But now they've been put in an interesting position. Why? Because Americans from across the country are flying out to LA to vote for Spencer Pratt in the mayoral election in Los Angeles. You can't make this up. You can see it all across social media. Americans from states like Tennessee, Kentucky, Florida, Texas, they're flying out to California just to vote for Spencer Pratt. And guess what? California doesn't have any voter ID laws. So they're not even a resident of the state. But since Democrats don't support voter ID, they get to vote. Now the question becomes, how do they defend against this? Well, they can't really. Not without supporting the SAVE Act. So once again, Democrats have put their foot in their mouth. And I have to admit, this is kind of genius from the people who are flying out there to vote. Because what are they going to say at the voter booth? They're going to ask you to flash your ID? Are you racist? How dare you ask me for my ID? This all goes to say that I hope Spencer Pratt wins, because he plans on bringing the IRS into the city to review all the books and how the funds of the city were managed by the previous mayor. And Democrats do not want that. But if he wins, that's what's going to happen. But what's your take? The Democrats...
You can't make that stuff up, my friend. You can't make that stuff up.
I think it's a bit deficient, personally, because that is discrimination, and everybody knows it. I'm going to ride my horse in there. My horse should get to vote. The dog should get to vote. The neighbor's dog should get to vote. That's a very, human-centric attitude, and we love furry, fluffy things in California. So, I was just there last night out in San Francisco, and there was a lot of furry, fluffy things there voting, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
And by the way, the other thing is this, and I think it's a misunderstanding. Supposedly today is the primary in California. But if there's any question at all, we'll vote again tomorrow and the next day and the next day, and it's still going to count. I mean, we can vote all month.
Exactly.
And nobody's going to stop us from doing that. They'll come back and get double the count. In fact, you probably get extra credit for voting late.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, listen, I got to be good I got to be a man of my word. I was at a barber shop to fix my beautiful beard, and they did such a great job. And I told these guys that I would give them a plug, and there it is. You could just freeze the screen, scan the QR code. They're right near Glendale. These guys are the best of the best in that area. Go check these guys out. The guy that did my beard was a Filipino guy. Fabulous job. Go say hello to these guys. Tell them Mel Carmine sent you. Anyway, we got.
Well, they probably charge me double.
Yeah, because your beard is so huge, right?
It's a little, I kept it trimmed down quite a bit. I let it kind of go over the last 6 months or so. But I will tell you, that was while Roseanne was filming her new TV series, and Randy Quaid clearly let his go. So I wasn't about to let him get ahead of me, because he's playing a part that's based on me. So I can't let the surreal overtake the real, and so Correct. I had to keep it going out. So in fact, somebody sent a picture of Randy over, and I said Roseanne sent it, and I sent one back. And we look pretty close to identical right now. So
absolutely. Well, Juanito, welcome to the Mel Carmine Show. These are 5 subjects that we'll be discussing today. Trump visiting China. I want to get your take on it. The conflict in Iran, the upcoming conflict in Cuba, the alleged sponsored mass shooting in San Diego. And we're going to get into med beds, what's real, what's not, what's fake, what's woo-woo, what's voodoo, and all that shit. As a matter of fact, at some point, woo-woo, there you go. At some point, 107 is going to come down to staying alive at the right place to do it at our center. And we're going to get really, really deep on the subject, this way we could separate facts from fiction and nonsense, right? There's a lot of nonsense going on out there. So there's a lot of podcasters out there right now, Juanito, talking a lot of shit about Donald Trump coming home with nothing from this China trip. I thought personally he did a fabulous job. What is your take on it?
Seriously, what podcaster what are they talking about coming home with nothing?
Yeah,
He went
exactly.
there and got all sorts of things accomplished before he ever even got on the plane. Excuse me, if you're looking for everything to be on the table whenever Trump does something, then you're missing most of the game. Before Trump even climbed on the plane, he sent Bessent, Treasury Secretary Bessent, over to South Korea,
Okay.
and uh, the counterpart, his counterpart out of China, came and met with him, and they had a little powwow, a little talk, came to a certain understanding. Next thing you know, the president of South Korea is out of jail. They had election fraud in South Korea, just like we've had in other places around the world, and including here in the
Let's
U.S.
call it election discrepancies for fluff tube.
Nah, it's fraud.
Yeah.
It's fraud. Discrepancies. Let's not. Actually, let
Sugarcoat
me
it,
just
right?
say this. This is about who runs not just our country, but essentially the free world. And when they steal these elections and put people into office who aren't the will of the people locally, just like what you identified out in California, um, then they do all sorts of wonky things that suit their paramours, the people that love them so much and that they love back. Look at Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles. Before we're done with that, um, there's all sorts of revelations about how the vote's been going in LA, the Smartmatic system that they claim is their own unique vote system. Los Angeles County has its own vote system. It's based on this old Smartmatic system. And by the way, that's the system that got tossed out of the Philippines for all the fraud that was going on there, and dozens of other countries around the world. And they still use that thing. They just put a different label on it. It's like me putting Studebaker over the Ford emblems on my F-350. Okay. Really? Is it a Studebaker? No, it's got the emblem though. It's tough. It really works good. Yeah, okay. Bullshit. Um, the reality is we're coming for all of that fraud, and California is going to be amongst the worst of it when you learn some of the stuff that we know about how they did things in the vote with all the counties in California. Oh my gosh, people are just they're gonna be so livid, including the fraud on the school bonds. Oh man, the property owners out there, um,
Absolutely.
the California is right at the top of the list. They're just going to come right off the rails. Well, and
Yeah.
by the way, their rail bonds. Okay, they were
Hmm.
building trains to nowhere. It's going to be quite something.
Yeah, let's talk about your event a little bit that you're having down at the Ahern. Amber and I are programmed to come. We already got our hotels. We got our airfare booked. We're ready. We're ready. I think she's got to get a rent-a-car. That's it. I don't do
Well, I
Uber.
don't even know you'd want to rent a car. I mean, part of the thing is that we're providing all the meals, and the
Yes.
reason I'm doing that for the price. I mean, we're charging $350 for the event.
Right.
It's 3 days. I'm providing a world premiere of a major movie that may very well it's Sound of Freedom, which Jim Caviezel was in. Uh, you know, did this incredible numbers on the gross, and Jim says this is actually a better movie as far as his um, performance, his acting, his trade than anything that he's been able to do so far. So where he gets to actually, bring everything to it. And so I'm anxious to see it myself. I haven't seen it yet. This is the world premiere, and nobody else has seen it out in the public. Um, and in fact, even today, I flew out to Florida to secure the screen we're going to use. And I didn't feel that the Ahern had a big enough one. We couldn't find one available in Nevada that we could get that had the latest technology. And so I just came out and worked the deal. So we'll have this is going to be an epic event, and the people showing up. I
Absolutely.
can't even mention some of the people who have asked to be able to come in, who are seeking security clearances or personnel to be able to get through. And so we may have to add the metal detectors in the search table. We hadn't wanted to, but that may in fact have to happen, and just because of the level that we're going up to. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I know you mentioned some of the names when we were not recording. Pretty impressive. You get any of those people there, I think they're going to be talking about this event for a very,
Well,
very
the
long
people
time
have
to come.
already committed. I mean, I have Edward Bolsonaro, the son of the president of Brazil, who's in prison in Brazil right now. His
Mhm.
election was stolen from him. Uh, and that's who the movie Dark Horse is about, is the president of Brazil. That's who Jim Caviezel portrays in the movie. And so, that's Monday night. We start right out of the box, just doing something amazing. And there's a full dinner on Monday night. We'll have popcorn for the movie. And then we go right into it with the fraud fighter stuff. And there's a number of amazing speakers that we've had to kind of trim back because we have others that are even more amazing, and there's only so much time, and so we've kind of juggled things. I may yet do another conference or two, as I discussed with you, later in the summer, and in other parts of the country, but I
Sure.
haven't committed to that yet because of I want to get this done. It's become such an important one, and yeah, I think it'll be the one that people, all summer. This was the one you didn't want to miss. So
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway, I mean,
Yeah.
let me just say this: it's easy to hype and puff and make a big deal of it. We were over half sold out before we even mentioned the movie. We were about 2/3 sold out, and when we announced the movie.
Right.
Um, that wasn't even going to happen. And
Right.
then on top of that, we've had a modification on a couple of speakers that has just gone to the moon, and the presentations. Um, and then we added, after all that, I was just doing a breakout session on Wednesday night with the people who are briefing people at the White House, at Homeland Security, et cetera, on the technicalities of exactly how the votes being frauded in the computer world and tied to the ballots and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Very technical discussion. Well, shoot, I thought I'd be lucky if I had a dozen guys that wanted to sit there and go through all of that.
Right.
Most everybody showing up wants to be there.
Right.
So,
Right. Well, listen, if we have anything to do with it, we'll make sure that all those tickets will be sold out. And when they're sold out, they're sold out. Typically these things in the last
yeah,
two,
we're
3 weeks is
pretty
when they.
close right now. I mean, we've got well, the only other thing I'll add is that, in fact, I'm going to be in a meeting tomorrow over at the Ahern. They're uh, making some special accommodations. I don't want to say what for the moment,
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
would allow us to bring in about 100 more people. And of course, I went and jumped to get a screen that's more appropriate as far as I'm concerned for the size of the crowd and like that, to make sure that you know we make the absolute best presentation. Uh, uh, actually higher quality than what you get in the theater.
Right.
So pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And just reviewed that, and so we're the absolute latest technology was what we're doing. It's pretty cool, the sound and all that. So it's going to be a really a world class top drawer thing for the movie, and then of course all of the other
Well,
folks that
I
present
can tell
will have
you ain't making any money at $375, whatever it is you're charging for 3 days with food. I know how these things go, and it's not a
well.
profit making
Let
proposition.
me say this: was
Yeah,
never about making money.
yeah,
I wanted to cut a sharp pencil. We've added from what the original price was. We've added so much to it. I mean, a world premiere of several of the speakers that have asked if they could present. I have another one that is flying in from out of the country, and was hoping for an hour. I says, if I can give you 15 or 20 minutes, because the other ones, the technical presentations, the stuff that's going to courts and things like that, I need enough time to actually get those presentations fully in. And there's only three of them that are about an hour. Peter Tickton, President Trump's friend, he's presenting, and he said the other day, he said he thought this was as important as any speech he's ever given in his whole life, because he's got some stuff he wants to release that he's never put out there before. That's Tina Peters' attorney also. And by the way, we the parole board on Tina's case will determine what the limitations are and restrictions on her for doing anything. But the appeals court said you can't restrict her free speech and send her back for resentencing. The governor, in his comments when he commuted her sentence to time served, which didn't eliminate the sentence, it just left all that in place. We're still going to fight through in court on that. But he said, her sentencing was based on restricting her free speech. So the question is, while she's on parole, are they going to try, as the parole board, going to try to keep her able to speak publicly about the things that happened here? And I apologize, I got a call coming in.
No problem. No problem.
There we go.
I'm actually, as we're talking, I'm forwarding your promo that we created on social media on Telegram.
Anyway, but the short of it is here she's supposed to be on parole. The only thing the parole is really supposed to do is ensure that because she's essentially a felon. That's all going to get overturned eventually. But in the meantime, they can restrict her speech. Are they going to say that she can't go get medical treatment anywhere she wants it? They're going to restrict her to Colorado. I don't think that's happening.
Exactly.
And then the other thing is, are they going to restrict what she can say? That's what was wrong with the sentencing. So can she be there, present at the event? And then if so, is she able to speak her mind? Or are they going to try and cap that again? I can tell you this. They try to mess with her. You're going to have a whole country full of pissed off people with the parole board in Colorado. So we'll see how that is. We don't want to put her in the spot.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean the rest of us have to be put on the spot. It's actually a big deal.
It is.
And we would love to have, and when I started planning for this, plan for it, mind that we wanted Tina to be able to present at this event. So timing wise, that's at least in realm, even if she had to do it. We don't know where she's at on a number of issues, and she's got kind of a checklist of things that she has to address. So we'll give her lots of room, but at the end of the day, we're dedicating the St. Peters, and have been before we got the announcement of her getting to be released.
Yeah, I'm flashing your promo as you speak right now on our page. Here, I'm showing it to the audience.
Yeah.
They can call the number 702-305-3322 and get more information and book your ticket. There's the flyer. We will leave the link down below. We got it on all of our Telegram channels.
Well, and let me just add this.
Yeah.
On the website, I don't want to waste too much time on this, but on the website, if they want rooms, we have rooms at the Sahara.
Okay.
For $89, they're half price. And then the Sahara also agreed to cut their resort tax in half. The Ahern sold out. It was sold out like 2 days after we announced the event.
Right.
The Trump has rooms at $129 a night, and they also agreed to cut the resort tax in half. So, I mean, when are you going to get a room at the Trump for $129?
Right.
Give me a break. I mean, so, and the reason I mentioned that, along with food, we're providing 7 full meals. The breakfasts are not just a croissant and coffee; they're full breakfast. The lunches are a full lunch.
Wow.
The dinners are a full dinner. Why? Because I don't want people to feel that they have to leave the event
Exactly.
To go get something to eat and then come back. I want people to stay because you're going to get a chance to network, rub shoulders with some of the greatest people within the Patriot operations movement. And I want you to stay there and spend time with other people. And so by having the food all right there,
Yeah.
you don't have to go anywhere. And
Yeah, we're coming a day early. We're coming a day early on the 17th after it's over. I'm driving across the desert again to go see mom. Let's get back on track. The conflict in Iran seems to be hitting a non-negotiable proposals. The United States says, nope, enough is enough. We're not going there. We're not taking that offer. They keep putting these offers on the table that are like less than what's expected. And we see that maybe Cuba will follow immediately after the Iran conflict is over. You think that Cuba may end up becoming a 51st state?
Support the movement. Visit QFS1776.com for exclusive one-of-a-kind merch that makes a powerful statement. Protect your wealth. Cash is trash. Go to carminesgold.com and secure real assets, silver, gold, delivered anywhere in the U.S. Text Mel at 786-704-8817. Looking to acquire XRP? Minimum is $10,000 investment, and there is no limit, even up to $100 million worth. Again, text Mel with full details at 786-704-8817 and allow up to 24 hours for a response. And if by chance you're visiting Cape Canaveral or you are a local, visit stayingalive.com, alive with 2 E's, and recharge your body at the cellular level.
This is a mouthful.
No, we don't. We don't want a 51st state anywhere.
Okay.
The Cubans are the Cubans.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that we don't help them significantly and bring them under our wing. The Cuban people have experienced some kind of horror as all these communist operations do what they do. And it's just one of those ones that just never goes away. So it's been very hard for the Cuban people. With that in mind, we're about to see that get lifted. Here's why. We're going to send, and I know a lot of people still sit there and want to give me all the BS about Gitmos never happening. Well, stick it in your freaking where the sun don't shine. Gitmos happening. And part of why it's we need to get Cuba under control. China, Russia too, but not so much so anymore. China has massive listening post operations and are deeply embedded into Cuba in 1,000 different ways. We don't want China being able to play around right next to Guantanamo as we go full, tilt into placing people there and the operations there, trying to go freaking, pound sand. And so, and remember, it was Cubans that were really running Venezuela. Everywhere. You couldn't get a driver's license. You couldn't get your, retirement check. You couldn't go to the bank and there wasn't a Cuban there monitoring every last thing you were doing. I mean, the minders, all of the security detail for Maduro were Cubans. I mean, to the 90th percentile. And so Cuba was running Venezuela and then taking oil from Venezuela for nothing and then enforcing China's will in Venezuela, all the Chinese personnel there doing what they were doing. So what had to happen is that we have essentially, they're all hitchhiking home from Venezuela. They're getting back to Cuba and they're not getting nice receptions, these intelligence and military and like that, including the ones that are all over Mexico. And so and the Cuban people have been ready for a long time, but like so many places, you can get disappeared really easy by just saying the wrong word. And so that's all in play right now. And it's not that Iran is directly tied to the Cuba stuff. But let me, as far as when we go to do what we're doing in Cuba. But let me just say this: I remember when I got a call from one of my folks, and they an Iranian aircraft that actually wasn't Iranian. It was literally hijacked under the Obama administration from an American, uh, a person of another origin who was here operating his businesses in America, and they literally hijacked a fleet of aircraft to do all the mischief that was being done by three-letter agencies across the country. And let me, I'm being a little vague because some of this stuff won't come out for quite some time. When Evergreen Airways was, for decades had been, tongue in cheek, the CIA's private airline, and my friend Dale Smith was running that. They were running the flights, supply flights, and things like that, very openly under contract to Department of Defense and Homeland Security and other things, to Afghanistan and Iraq and all sorts of things. And they actually modified aircraft specifically to accommodate the needs of our Defense Department for groups and security and all sorts of things. Under the Obama administration, they literally hijacked somebody's fleet of aircraft and used them for all sorts of nefarious things. Well, they didn't need Evergreen anymore. And so they flushed Evergreen. Why? Because a patriot was running it, and they didn't want him knowing what they were doing. He'd have questioned, is this legal? You see? And so they forced him into bankruptcy because they removed all of his contracts. They destroyed a beautiful American businessman. He was getting on in years, but he had his health. But the drama was so extreme, so great. I think the only way to say it is it broke his heart. He had created this whole thing from scratch, had worked hard, been a great asset to America, the American people, through thick and thin, and they destroyed him. He still has a legacy of the Air Museum. Howard Hughes's. He never liked the name Spruce Goose, but his aircraft that he built is up there in the museum. It's fantastic. It's one of the best air museums on the planet. It's unbelievable. And that we still have, but they destroyed his airline. He had other collections. It is one of the saddest things.
Yeah. We have breaking news right now. Sorry to interrupt you, Juanito. Allegedly, breaking news. We have a man murdered inside. A man. They're saying that he's a male prostitute found dead inside the Indiana home of Mike Pence. This is allegedly breaking news right now. It's happening as we speak. So that's pretty wild. What do you say about that?
Well, let's see where it goes. I don't want to comment on something that I don't have direct knowledge on, and there's going to be lots of other people that have more direct knowledge or information and like that. I mean, that's certainly just like what you said. That's wow, that's interesting. But let's see how it develops. A lot of times, some of the stuff you get right off the bat's the most accurate, and then they start tweaking it to go other places and put the right spin on it. And so a lot of times I'll preserve the first few comments or things that I hear before it gets a chance to go to the round tables and all the other stuff, and people start putting their own stuff into it. But that's certainly that'll be driving headlines for a few days.
I'm sure. Marco Rubio is actually growing on me. I got to be honest with you, but I don't trust politicians just because of the last track record of 100 years of bullshit. And even though he's saying all the right things, and I'm getting warm, fuzzy feelings when he's talking, he's saying different things, and he's very very strong
let
with
me
his
just say
words.
this. So
Yeah.
I have a couple of different people. I could say the names, but I don't even want to take them by saying it. That I was not, they weren't my favorites. And in each of these positions, which are crucial positions,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, but who would be the alternative? Crap, I don't even know who I fully trust because uh, one of the things I could get somebody that's absolutely true blue, red, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
for certain of these positions. But the problem would then be that they would never get past Congress to get those offices, or they'd be attacked so hard they wouldn't be able to get anything done. So Trump put a few people in. There's three that I instantly go to. And I have to say, in those specific three instances, they have done everything the way the president wanted them done. They haven't tried to upstage. They haven't, been in the rest of the news cycle for anything bizarre. They have just done their job and have done it amazingly. And one of those three is Rubio.
No
And
question about it.
uh, for example, the fun thing the other day, he goes to China on the plane. He's wearing the tracksuit that Maduro was wearing.
Right.
Taylor,
Well,
though, it wasn't as floppy. But
yeah.
why is that important? The reason that's important is it's sending another message.
Right.
We own this guy and the suit he flew in on.
Well, the
We're learning all
dismay.
sorts of stuff. Why does he wear it on the plane to China? Because the whole thing is China was running
Right.
Venezuela and raping Venezuela of its assets, its oil for
Right.
next to nothing.
Yeah.
See, that's the whole point. China's having to now negotiate with us even for uh, uh, revamping up the Alaska oil pipeline
Right.
and get some of that oil because they had the production down to like 15%. They were like, it's about ready to go. It corrodes, so they actually had to fill the pipeline up and
Yeah.
move oil back and forth in the pipeline just to keep it from corroding at huge losses, all because of the green, bullshit movement. You got
Yeah.
so much oil up there. It's out there. It's the size of a postage stamp in comparison to a football field where they wanted to do stuff up there at the head of the pipeline. It's
Yeah.
insane. It's the one place that's perfect to go get the stuff that doesn't impact everybody else. And then you're going to stop them from doing it. It's totally political. In fact, it's the people that stopped all of that work up there. Why? Because they wanted us to buy the oil
Right.
from the Mideast, from their buddies, their friends, where they get their big take out of it. And the whole green movement of being run out of the Brits. Okay, well, it's the Brits, the fucking Brits, wanting us to comply with their bullshit and our politicians going along with it and then blocking us from going after our own resources. That's the kind of stuff that Trump is going after. And that's a perfect example. Okay, instead of China getting it from Venezuela and Iran and everybody else, literally stealing it from them, not even paying retail. I mean, not even paying wholesale. I mean, not even paying.
Yeah.
They now, oh, you want oil? Oh, yeah, yeah. Why do you think Trump's not in any race to figure out Iran? Let them figure it out. In the meantime, the oil isn't coming out of there. And in fact, here's the other thing. So a lot of those wells, China was the one that was supervising the way those wells were being run. Pretty lousy too.
Yeah.
But in Iran, you don't turn off an oil well like you turn off the spigot on your hose. It's capillary action. It's siphoning action. And so once you establish a flow to the wellhead, you have to maintain that so that the well continues to fill and refill from adjacent areas, and the pressure goes to that wellhead. Well, if you just turn it off, you destroy a well, and you have to cap it off, repressurize it, and go re-drill it other places. Iran, all this stuff about the environmental factors and the oil, everything else. What's going on over at Karg Island? The wells are still pumping. Iran hasn't turned them off, but they filled every, beer can, every freaking container, every bucket, every toilet that they can with as much oil as they have. And because they don't want to turn them off. Once it's off, it's off. Well, what's really going on? All of their Chinese maintained wells are going to be shit. They're going to have to cap them off because the environmental stuff and all that. They're just pouring the oil out on the ground. They don't have anywhere to put it, anywhere to ship it because everything's full.
Right.
So when they shut those off, those wells will be shut. Oh, you want to drill oil again in Iran so you can do stuff? American companies will come in there. We'll do a better job of it, and you'll pay us to come in there and help you do it. And then when the oil's flowing, you're not going to be selling it to China for a couple cents on the dollar of what it's worth. You're going to make real money, or to whoever, and put it out into the world. And so we're going to turn on the oil from here in the U.S. China can buy the oil from us and not launder through Iran or Venezuela or any place else. We're going to shut them off, and that's exactly what we're supposed to do. So then China has to compete in a world market at market prices. They got to buy their oil for the same price everybody else does. They got to buy their raw resources for the same price everybody else does. No more killing, raping, maiming whole countries such as the Congo, so they can have all their minerals for next to nothing, just the cost of a few humans in the way.
Right.
And start a little war here or there. China's going to have to play on an even keel. And then going back, nothing happened on the trip to China.
No, a lot happened.
That's about as most dumbass statement as you could possibly
100%.
get. What Trump did is he sent a lot of messages to China, just like the backstory on what went on with Becent and some of their monetary stuff, the stolen election in South Korea that they were behind, along with other places. The little jumpsuit with Maduro and Rubio. Maduro's singing. When do birds sing? When they're caged. So he's caged. He's singing like a canary right now. Why? Because he wants his wife and his son to maybe get out of prison while they're alive. He won't. He's the stuff that he's been involved with. To outer space, bad stuff, killed a lot of people. A lot to pay for there. Yeah. So, and China's having to kind of understand. Like, for example, here's another thing. You asked about Iran. Trump and Xi, they're talking about who they like for leadership in Iran. Nobody has emerged as the new leader of Iran. It's, you got a half a dozen groups all saying that they're in charge. Okay, well, they may be in charge of this or that or something else. I'm handing pizza deliveries. You're in charge of the Ubers. Yeah. You take the retirement home. Somebody's got the uranium. We know exactly where the enriched uranium is. The question is, who's going to own that? They're still out there trying to threaten us.
Correct.
Okay. So don't touch it. Don't try to move it. You won't exist.
Correct.
Within a few minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
You'll be talking to Allah. Okay. And he won't be happy with you. So you're not going to get your 71 virgins, forget that. So with that in mind, whoever decides that they're in charge and then offers, we have the security, we control the enriched uranium, please, President Trump, send people over, pick it up, take it somewhere, and we don't want it on our land anymore. That's who's going to come out as being in charge of Iran. They've got to make a deal and decide to push it. If they don't do that, then they're not the ones that are in charge. Whoever's tough enough, strong enough, in place enough to control the destiny of that enriched uranium, which Trump has made a cornerstone. No nuclear weapons. Done. Enriched uranium isn't used for nuclear power and things like that. It's used for bombs. Right. So, whoever they decide within Iran is tough enough, powerful enough to control that, then that's the new leaders of Iran, and Trump will help enforce that. by, you work a deal with us, we'll want you in charge. And that's what he told Xi. See, Xi was saying, well, here's the people in Iran that we like. Why? Because they're getting all their free oil. Iran was being run in lockstep with a lot of China stuff. It was all China's technology running their missile systems. 300,000 missiles in Lebanon, 100,000 in Gaza. Why do you think the Israelis went in there and done what they did? We're not going to live under this threat forever. Done. Over with. Where were those missiles coming from? Iran. Were the people in Gaza paying for them? No. Were the people in Lebanon paying for them? Not on your life. Okay. And by the way, how were they fueling those missiles? Remember when Beirut blew to smithereens? I mean, a blast, like, a nuclear blast, right? What was the deal? That was where they were making the rocket fuel there at the port there. They were using the ammonium nitrate that was their fertilizer, and had German machinery that was refining that. So they had their fuel for their uh, 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 missiles that were being the threat. So that got destroyed. It was all a big scam. That was a Russian ship that brought that there for in the first place, and then got sanctioned and taken custody of, and it was put on the docks. So at the end of the day, there's a lot in these discussions that's not really stuff the public is aware of, understands, and yeah, it happened. Big things are happening. So.
Yeah, I think, Mark, getting back to Marco Rubio, he's grown on me. He's been growing on a lot of podcasters out there. But as a test, I think we should make, because he legally could be the president. Let him run a fair campaign. He could be the president of Cuba to prove himself, make Cuba great for the first time, and then we'll maybe think about making you the president of the United States.
Well, it sounds fun. I mean, it's like saying we want to make Alberta the 51st state or something like that. In this day and age, we don't need to turn Canadians into Americans. They're brothers. We work together. When we're allowed to play together properly, we play well. The arm on the space shuttle was built in Canada, was something that they had a lot of direct pride over. Canada, the shale oil and like that, you could power planet Earth for 300 years on the shale oil just in a small patch up there in Canada. And we got energy all over the planet. It's stupid to say peak oil. That was a lie from day one. Yeah. So we got plenty of energy, that sort, and we're moving into other systems. It's at this moment in time, realistically, it's about a 50-year transition on a lot of these things, where we go to other power sources, ways of generating things like that. So you're going to be around. One of the folks that works on some of my vehicles, young kid, he's wants to be a world-class diesel mechanic, and he'd like to crew on one of my racing vehicles. And I've said, world the way it is, you need to think a little broader than just diesel. But in his lifetime, he'll probably be fine. Even
you're talking about free energy, Juanito. Let's
not call it free.
Okay.
It's low cost. It still costs something to create the mechanisms that can pull it out.
Mechanism that can produce free energy, for your home, right? It costs maybe $20,000 or $10,000.
Again, you have pretty good upfront costs, but once you get using it regularly, and some of the stuff actually has very low thresholds. Exactly. You can do a tremendous amount. Let's put it this way: the energy BTU of energy needed to do certain types of work. For example, I'm looking at LED projection systems. In the old days, you had lights that, used a tremendous amount of energy to do lighting. Today we use LEDs for a fraction of the cost. That's why you can get these flashlights that go on for a couple days on the same batteries that would go, 45 minutes or an hour in the old days. And because they have such low energy consumption to do essentially the same work. We're becoming more efficient with all of our machinery, engines and things like that.
Correct.
And that'll continue to be the case. I mean, I know about some stuff that it would absolutely fry your mind to realize, oh my gosh, you can do that. Yeah, shit, we were doing it a long time ago for vehicles and things like that. Even going electric is not as efficient as some of these other
How much
systems.
technology? How much technology do you think they're hiding from us? I mean, do you have a roundabout number?
Well, it's hard to say who the they is. I will tell you that there's within certain industries, especially energy, some of the groups or families that are the trolls that control the way stations, the checkpoints, the choke points for energy distribution. They work very hard not to allow anything else to come in and compete with them, and that's very real. Well, is that the government? No, it's not. It's within certain families and industry that come after it. Like, for example, not the same, but kind of in the zone. IDC, International Diamond Cartel. The planet is covered in diamonds. Places that you go find gold, a lot of these places have diamonds that are, right there too, and you take them out the same way you take out the gold. But the IDC goes out and buys up any of these mines that could come on the market and bring the price down just by volume. So we had a group up in Canada that had tremendous diamond mines. They got them all up, got all their permits ready to extract, etc. And then the IDC folks came in, bought it, and closed the whole thing down. Why? Because they didn't want the competition into other parts of the world where their labor is cheaper, their price points and profits are higher, etc. It's the same within the alternative energies, and in fact, for example, the deal with hydrogen. When you use hydrogen, you break down water and you get hydrogen and oxygen, H2O. 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen. So you use an electric method to separate, to crack water. And so hydrogen power for vehicles has been around for forever. The problem is you don't have a fueling system set up for hydrogen. If you wanted to switch, say, just the truck fleet in America, all the over-the-road semis, tractors like that, to hydrogen, you could do it. It takes more space to store hydrogen because it's not as dense, it's not as compact as liquid fuel, say diesel or something like that with high BTUs. But on a semi truck, these big tractor trailers, you got a lot of space there. You got plenty of room to put the storage in there, and it's not explosive like other fuels. If you have it in the right media, you could have an accident and all of the hydrogen pellets, foam pellets that hold it could fall out in the ground. You get a shovel, you throw it back in and seal the tank up. It's safer. And the deal there is.
Ray Young, trying to return to gate H14 for the message. Ray Young, kindly return to H14. Ray Tiara Young.
Yeah, Ray, what were you thinking? You left your ID back at Ray. Go back to Franken Security and get your ID. Might be his cell phone or something like that. Anyway, Ray, think about it. Okay, what were you thinking? He was probably listening to us and got distracted. Anyway, if you think about it, you could decide to mandate that now all over the road trucks, all buses run on hydrogen.
Right.
Our engines don't have to change. That's another thing. So you change the way that you run the fuels in there like that, but we could switch the fleet, large portions of the fleet over to hydrogen. The problem is you have to decide that you're going to go out and spend tens of billions of dollars creating the infrastructure to fuel it and the mechanics, the technicians to be able to work on those vehicles to switch it over. But you'd have, well, what do you get when you burn hydrogen? You get water. Water droplets come out of the tailpipe. You can just sit there and breathe it and nothing happens. It's, it's green. Why don't you do that? Because our system and the trolls that run it make so much money on the oil side of it and the refineries and cracking oil and everything else. And it's denser for personal vehicles. It's oh my gosh, they're running a NASCAR race right here in the terminal.
That must be Ray.
Yeah, that would be me. I'm in the right car. Are
you in Miami?
Yeah, I'm in Miami. Yeah,
I figured the airport looks familiar.
Yeah. But the reason that I say that is that you have to have that decision, that will to decide to do that. We could do that. Yeah, go back a little bit. After World War II, of course, Germany had the Autobahn, which allowed for the movement of military equipment all over the country rapidly, smoothly on these great, big, huge paved highways. Eisenhower came back after the war got into power and commissioned that we were going to have a huge national highway system, the freeways. And that was that period. I remembered as a kid, Route 66 went through every town and city across the country, going all the way through. And when they created the freeway system, even the TV show Route 66 with their Corvettes and that was a very cool show. What was the deal? They bypassed all those towns and they just became dustbins. They became ghost towns in many cases. Only a handful survived at key waypoints. Mm-hmm. And that was where the gas station was, right there at the off-ramp. Fuel up, get back on the freeway and go. Yep. And if town was a mile away, people would drive a mile to go over and fuel up. And so the choice of how that road went, what cities were chosen to survive, was key. But we created an entire highway system as an act of refining and making America so it could work more efficiently. Okay, right. And we could go to another fuel the same way. We could decide that we're gonna, become efficient and do important things with another fuel.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about arrests, Juanito, because it seems that we're talking about arrests. Things are heating up. It looks like maybe we're going to get some arrests and then things cool off again. Then things heat up again and then things cool off again. Now we're in a cooling off period again. Nobody's talking arrests all of a sudden anymore. Where are we on that? I know you've been right.
That's not true. That is not true. That is not true. That is not true. That is not true.
Maybe I'm not paying attention.
Hard on. Did you see what happened a week ago over at Congress? They weren't giving Trump his appointments. The majority of them for these various offices. And so the Senate did a mass bill where they just approved all of Trump's appointments. And most of them were for the Justice Department, for AGs.
Okay.
And so the deal is, why couldn't you get to Justice Department? Because the people that were there didn't want to do anything with what Trump wanted to do. Now you've got new directors, AGs of all these locations, and they're making their will known. We are going to do this and this and this.
Okay.
Get out of the way.
When I say arrests, I'm talking about the big boys. I'm talking Obama.
Well, but hold on a second. Hold on a second. A lot of that, you have to do the stuff that you present to a grand jury. Mm-hmm. So that the case is prepared and you can prove what you got to do. Look at what happened with Brennan. the prosecutor was playing footsie and not going forward, and doing questionable on how well they were doing what they're doing. So kick them to the curb, bring in a new prosecutor. He gets the job, gets assigned the job, gets accepted. The statements were that they withdrew much of the material that had been presented to the grand jury, the indictments that had already been served. They withdrew those. Oh, see, nothing's going to happen. It's horrible. No, they were shit. They weren't going to win on those. They withdrew those. Then it will take him 6 to 8 weeks to come up to speed on the file. Why? Because he has to be able to own the material. He's saying to the judge, he's saying to the grand jury, he's saying to the person that's, the target, that what I have, I can prove. What I have is the truth, the facts. And I have done an investigation, determined what's true, what's facts, etc. He has to own that. He can't just pick up where the other guy left off. So he has to go through all the evidence, all of the testimony, all of the things, be familiar with it so he can present his case for a prosecution.
Yeah.
And they're saying, 6, 8 weeks. That's about right. There's a lot of material there to get through the core stuff. Brennan's not out of the woods.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Justice Department's still coming for him, but he's an example of all the other ones. I'm telling you,
but Juanito,
they have
we need
now.
military.
You have several dozen
Yeah.
new AGs. Each one of them have a plate full of people that they want to go after. That is the reason why Trump picked them in the first place. Who've been waiting for a year to get into office in many cases. Hello.
Yeah, but we've been.
And so they will then come up to speed. They will go to the grand juries, and then they'll, go for indictments and arrests. And that's not the end. A lot of that material will also be used where there is treason involved and other things for military.
Okay, I'm glad you used the word treason. I'm glad you used the word military. That's exactly where I want to go. Because,
right. Yeah. But again, a lot of that material currently exists at the Justice Department as it's sifted through and matures, and the witnesses are allowed to present what they have, the depositions are done, et cetera. The determinations then won't be, oh crap, he got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, slap it. No. They were working with China and other stuff. And by the way, when you sit there and nothing happened in China, before Trump agreed to go to China, China had to agree to allow extradition of one of the internet hackers that they had over there. And we brought him back to the U.S., okay? Well, after they agreed to work with us on that, then we'd come over and visit. Why Trump want to go over there to visit them? He wants to be seen by the Chinese people. It's not him kissing ass to Xi.
Yes.
It's him taking names and numbers before he even got on Air Force One and left. If he'd gotten the wrong feedback in return, when Bessent went to South Korea, if the South Korean president wasn't on path to be free, Trump wouldn't even have left. So get your head out of your ass. Stuff is happening that it may be
I
not
fully
understood, but
I want to make sure that we have military tribunals, because if we have regular civilian tribunals, everybody's compromised, and these guys are going to walk again, and they'll never and they'll take over.
Yeah, they're not walking. Nobody's walking.
Yeah. So you think it's going to be a military tribunal? You think it'll be that extreme?
I don't think. I'm telling you what it's going to be.
Okay. Good.
Okay. So part of the thing that just drives me crazy is you have a bunch of Debbie Downers out there. Okay. And, nothing's happened so far. It's never.
No. I know it's going to happen. Yeah.
No. Well, then don't say it as a question, because the whole point here, everything we're doing is about getting to the point that you can't get to justice on these things with judges and everything else. Go look at the Tina Peters situation. You got judges that have their head up their ass so far on a political agenda, and you just can't get to justice. So we're going to have to go in there, kick some ass, and fix this. So
Judge
anyway.
Janine Shapiro recently is leading a task force for all the crypto scammers out there on a global level, initiated by Donald Trump. Do you think that we're going to be able to recuperate a lot of this money that's been stolen around the world, including people that use my name, to be quite honest with you?
Well, I mean, that's the process we're in. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Do you think that task force is going to be able to literally bring some of these people to justice? I would love to see that.
I don't just think, we know that it is. That's the whole point. That's the path that we're on.
Right. Well, let's
it's
set
not
the
thinking
stage. Yeah. It looks like you're walking closer to your gate. It looks like
Yeah,
your
in
client's
fact,
going to go soon.
they're already
Lined up.
boarding. Yeah.
Yeah.
So well, it's not just lined up. They already called my class. So
All right.
um,
So let's
let me,
talk about med beds real quick, just to set the stage for when you come back
well,
down to
let's save that
Canaveral.
for a little bit later. The long and short of it is, the med bed may technically be an accurate term, but it's talked about. It's
Mm-hmm.
you got a bed that has some medical application, etc. But the technology, it's going to take your bone out, put a brand new one in there. It's going to work perfectly. It's going to be, we're gonna solve all sorts of things. We can treat and help in many types of medical situations, but a lot of it's over stated. So
Over
anyway.
exaggerated.
Yeah. So
Gotcha.
anyway,
well, we'll talk more about
fly.
that when you come down to Cape Canaveral when we make that announcement. By the way, I got to get in touch with your guy Matt. We got 3 places that Tracy was able to find that she think will be a good fit for you to do an event in Orlando.
All right, beautiful. We'll talk about that, and I'll look forward to it.
Very good. Thank you, brother.
All right.
You're awesome. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks, bro. Bye.
Okay, folks, here we go.